Welcome to the Colors of Parenthood. I'm Margarita, and today we're joined by a guest who has turned personal hardship into a powerful mission to help others. Today we will explore Theresa's journey, the miscarriages, how she discovered postpartum depression, and how these experiences inspired her book. We'll also talk about the importance of support systems and how partners and communities can better show up for women. Let's dive in. Hello, everyone. It's really nice being here with Theresa. Theresa, could you please explain how to say your name and
Oh,
share a bit about yourself, where you're from, and then we'll continue.
okay. Okay. I'm Teresa. I am in Brazelton, Georgia, which is not too far from Atlanta, Georgia.
Great. And can you share a bit about your background? So, what do you do,
Mhm.
and what was your education? What are you doing in life?
Oh, okay. Well, I'm married. Been married for 25 years. I have two wonderful kids, two daughters. I have a degree in business administration, and I have a master's degree in professional counseling. So I'm a licensed professional counselor. I work as a Christian counselor at the Abundant Life Institute. It's in Winder, Georgia. I love doing that. I am a supervisor there. I'm a clinical supervisor, so I do supervision also.
Okay, sounds really amazing and a really serious job to do. But what did inspire you to become that?
Oh, actually, this journey that I took with postpartum depression, that's what inspired me to go into counseling. I've been doing counseling for about 11, almost 12 years now.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you touched upon the topic that now we're gonna follow on. So, could you share your mom journey? So, you said you have two children. What were your expectations when you had your first one, and what was the difference with the second one?
Well, my first one, I had actually I was married twice, but it was with my ex husband. But he's no longer here. But he walked out of my daughter's life when she was 4. So my husband is the only dad that she knows. But with her, yeah, that was my first. So with your first, you're really excited about it, and so I was happy that she was here. Didn't have no issues with her, even though I had to have a C-section. But all I had was maybe the baby blues. I guess that's what it was. But other than that, I was fine. The second one, she took a little longer to get here, which I know we'll probably go into. But she did take long to get here, longer than what we expected. So it was exciting that I did get pregnant because I went through a lot of infertility and miscarriages and stuff. But it took her about 5 years to get here. But that experience was kind of rough because, the fear of maybe losing her. And then, of course, afterwards, when I had her, that's when I realized I did have postpartum depression. So yeah, it was exciting, but nerve wracking.
Mm-hmm. So it was different from what you expected because we've talked about before that you didn't know that you were experiencing something called postpartum depression back then. So when did you realize that something is not the way it's supposed to be?
Well, actually, it wasn't until probably the second month after she was here. I had her in January. So around towards the mid January, I started feeling a little different, but I felt like it was just the same what I had with my oldest daughter. But then around February, that beginning of February, that was when I started feeling like I was not myself. I didn't even feel like I was in my right mind. I mean, I didn't know what was going on because I've never experienced this before. I never even knew what postpartum depression was. I mean, I heard about it, but never experienced it until my doctor. When I went to my doctor's visit, she had told me because I told her some of the symptoms I was having, and she said that you're probably going through postpartum depression.
Mm-hmm. And what were the symptoms? So what really struck you upon that it's different from your first experience?
Well, I wasn't connecting with my baby. I even though I was nursing her, And I did that for a while, not long, because at a moment I just wasn't feeling it. I just wasn't nursing her. I wasn't connected. I felt like I didn't want her. Actually, it was a time when I felt like I just wanted to like throw her out the window. I hated that I felt like that, but it was in my mind. So I was wondering, like, why am I not happy? I mean, she's here. I wasn't happy. I couldn't sleep. I kept having these thoughts in my mind that I'm no good. I'm not a good mother. Then I just couldn't even function right.
Yeah, and you've waited for her so long, so definitely
hmm
something was not as you expected. And after you went to doctor, and she said that, what helped you to go through postpartum depression?
Well, I was in denial for a while. So I did, excuse me, I went to a psychiatrist, and they wanted to put me on medication. And then she told me to go to a counselor. I went to that like 3 visits, and I was like, oh, this isn't working and stuff. And so I didn't even take the medicine. I wouldn't take it for a while because I've never taken medication like that before in my life. And so I was in denial. I fought it for a while until I mean, I couldn't take it no more. I felt like I was losing my mind. It was to the point where I would not sleep. Only time I would sleep was in the daytime because I was afraid of the dark. I felt like I was hearing voices. Felt like, I think I was like literally in a psychosis state of mind. And then it just got so bad to the point where, I even wanted to die. I mean, I didn't want to commit suicide, but I just was like, if something just takes me out, I'm okay with it. But so I did end up going to the hospital. My husband took me because I was like, I don't know, I can't fight this anymore.
And how did your husband like realize that something was wrong? Were you communicating with him about all the symptoms that you experienced?
Oh yes, I would I would tell him. He saw it. I mean, because there were nights when I was just like kind of trying to fight it and just was not myself. He knew something was wrong, but he just didn't understand. He kept saying, oh, just pray about it, or just get through it, or do something happy. He would try to take me out or do something, but it just did not go away. And so he pretty much just didn't understand exactly what was going on in my head.
hmm And how old was your first child back then?
She was 13.
She was 13. And how did she realize something was wrong?
Yes, she did. She kind of just wanted to do whatever she could to help. I mean, I would have panic attacks, and I know one time we were in a mall, and I had a panic attack. So I had to have her help me. We went to the bathroom, and we just prayed, and we just, I calm breathe and calm down until I, was calm. And I'm pretty sure she was probably like, what in the world is going on with my mom? So yeah, she saw a lot of it. But I don't think she ever really understood.
hmm Yeah, I'm sorry that you've gone through that. Sounds like really, really stressful period of your time.
hmm
And at what point did you like started getting better and better and actually loving your mom job with your new
Oh,
child?
well, it took a while. I think when I finally realized that I needed to take the medication. Um, Actually, when I went to the hospital, the words that I guess I said, that I didn't, that I was had thoughts of harming my baby, and thoughts of harming myself. So of course I went into a psychiatric hospital. So I was there, and so of course there I had to take the medicine. So I took the medicine. I slept good. I got better, but it wasn't over. But there I experienced a lot of healing because I was helping other people in the hospital. But after I got out, um, I started taking the medicine, but it did take a while before I actually started feeling better. But I could notice some changes, but I still had the anxiety, the panic attacks, some of the depression. But I could tell that, like, my crying wasn't like every day. I used to cry every day, but then I noticed that some days I wasn't crying. Some days I was able to smile, I was able to laugh. So I knew day by day I was getting better. And the I went to a Christian counselor, and she recommended I journal. So I started doing a lot of journaling. And as I was, which really helped because when I kept reading it, I noticed that I was getting better. I couldn't see it, but I wrote it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's an amazing technique that we also like use in therapy, because the
Yeah,
progress you see is by looking back on your thoughts when they were on the darkest moment, and then you see like step by step, as you said, day by day, you
right.
start getting more and more hope about you feeling better.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And because I always speak with people about the community importance here, like community or like social support, any sort of support that you have around you. Did you had any friends that were going through this, or like they knew about it, so you've had like also friends to speak about?
Well, actually, no, I didn't have anybody at first. I had friends. I had, my mom, my stepmother, other people from my church, but it was secret. Actually, I didn't want to tell everybody. I only told a few people because I don't know. I guess I just felt embarrassed or something, but I really did. I kind of felt embarrassed about it, but I did get connected with one woman. I'm from Nashville. That's where I was born. So my family's in Nashville, and so my stepmother, my dad's wife, she had connected me with a lady that she knew that went through it, and so I talked with her a lot on the phone, and everything that I told her, she knew exactly what I was talking about. So that was so helpful because I was able to call her anytime and talk with her, and she, just helped me through it, and that was really good. Along with the counselor and her, that was a good support system.
Hmm. Yeah, finding someone that shows you that you're not alone.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. I didn't, because that's what I felt. I felt like I was alone because nobody understood. Everybody kept saying, oh, you'll get better, or it'll pass, or, just get a good night's sleep, or do this and do that. And nothing was working. I mean, it just was not working, but I had to do what worked in order to get through the day.
Yeah, and when people say like you should get better, or like it gets easier, sleep more, eat healthier food, that can also counteract, because you might feel guilty. Like I've heard people feeling guilty that it doesn't happen that way. It doesn't get
Hmm.
better. You can't sleep because you have a newborn, so it's quite difficult to just have a good night's sleep.
Yeah, it was difficult because that's why I had to even stop nursing, because I wasn't sleeping. It wasn't, getting better, and so my husband was able to help out because he was able to, do the bottle feeding, and my 13-year-old, my oldest daughter, she was good about helping out, but I felt guilty a lot. I mean, I just felt like I wasn't even a a good mother. I mean, I felt bad about that because I just was not connecting. Eventually, I did start connecting a lot more.
Mm-hmm. And if we go back, can you share your journey with having her? So, because you said you've waited 5 years,
Oh,
can you share, yeah, what happened there?
oh, okay. Well, I know we both me and my husband were in the military, in the army. So we when I married him, he didn't have any kids. So I said, okay, I guess I'll have a kid for him. I was fine with one, but we had tried, and then of course I did get pregnant within like 7, 8 months or so, maybe like yeah, about 8 months. I had a miscarriage. That was devastating. And then, of course, 2 or 3 months later, I did get pregnant again. But before I even knew I was pregnant, I was already miscarrying. So I really didn't have time to really even process that at all. So, but then after that, for some reason I just could not get pregnant again. I don't know. We tried, did the ovulation, we went through infertility. To an infertility doctor. At the time, I believe we were in Colorado. And then my husband, he got deployed to Kuwait, so he was gone for 7 months. So everything was on hold then. But while he was gone, I was doing a lot of treatment. Like they were testing my tubes and everything to make sure they were open and doing a lot of different things. But when he got back, we did try again. For a few more months. And then it got to the point where the doctor was like, I don't know what else we could do, and he was like, you might have to do IVF. So we were like, oh, okay. I didn't know what IVF was or how to do it or whatever, but I knew with us being in the military, we could go to Walter Reed and get it done for a cheaper price than on the regular. So we went there. We went to Washington D.C. and we went through the orientation, put our deposit down. Um, but then, of course, they said I needed to come back, but I had to have somebody with me. But I was like, I didn't know who because my mom worked, my best friend worked, my husband was had to take care of my oldest daughter. So after all of that, I just said, I just prayed about it, and I was like, I don't know, I don't want to go through this. Please, please, if it's some other way, God, make it happen. And so within a couple of months, I missed my period, and then next thing you know, I took a test, a home test, and it came up positive, but I didn't tell anybody because I didn't know. I was like, oh, it can't be. And so I went to the doctor, I think within that next 2 or 3 days, and sure and behold, I was pregnant. So yeah, but that's like 5 years from the time we had started. So yeah, and we were able to get our deposit back from the
From the
Walter
IVF.
Reed. Yes, we were able to get it back because I didn't think they were going to give it back to us, but we were able to get it back. And yeah, I was really nervous because I had already miscarried twice, and so when I got to the point where I was in my second trimester, I was like, okay, I could breathe a little bit, and so everything did go well with her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can imagine 5 years is really exhausting of trying,
Yeah,
and but it's such a amazing thing that life can give you. Like at the end of the last straw, that you're like, oh, I can't take it anymore. I'll try this, and then it happens, which is really beautiful.
yes, it was. I was so happy, but scared too because I didn't want to
Yeah.
lose this one, and so I made sure I was calm, no stress, everything. Just being a lot calmer, taking things slowly. But yeah, I was nervous.
And what happened with your first miscarriage? I mean, did they tell you what happened? Like, why did you experience it?
No, they didn't say anything. I mean, they just actually, there was, when they did the ultrasound, there was no, sac and everything was there, but there was no fetus at all. So I forgot what they call that, but there was no fetus. So I was devastated because I was thinking to myself, I've been carrying something in my
Yeah,
stomach.
yeah,
So for them to say that, I didn't want to believe it, and I actually went to the doctor the next day, just to get a second opinion, and they confirmed it. And so the process was, I mean, it's really terrible because with a miscarriage they like send you home and you have to go through the process, so the sac and everything has to come out, and it
yeah,
just comes out naturally, and you're already like grieving the loss, and then to have to see that, it was devastating. It was truly devastating.
yeah. And the thing is that it's a bit really stigmatized topic with miscarriages, even though 33% or something. It depends culturally, but a lot of women experience it, and they
Hmm.
don't usually speak up about it. And when I speak with my mom and all of my like older relatives, they're like, "Oh yeah, I had actually two miscarriage or one miscarriage."
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, my mom also had it, but like people don't talk about it, so you have to ask specifically, which doesn't come up usually in topics.
That's true, because usually if somebody tells me, "Oh yeah, I had a miscarriage," then I may say, "Oh yeah, well I had one too." A lot of people don't know, but I do. I talk about it in my book, about the miscarriage, but I don't like just openly say that I had a
Yeah.
miscarriage.
Yeah, and also it's really annoying that it's really hard for doctors to realize why did it happen, and the risk factors for a miscarriage are so vague. So almost anyone can have it. Like, because I've read a lot, and I will be I will have anxiety only because I've read that much, and I know that it can happen. Although many women don't think about it, because you shouldn't think about it. You don't know what will happen.
Well, and that's true. I mean, even with postpartum, it can happen to anybody too. And a lot of women don't think about that it could ever happen to me, and I thought that too. This could never happen to me, but it did. It comes out of nowhere. So it doesn't discriminate at all.
Yeah, and you don't have like past episodes of depression or any sort of risk factors following that.
Oh, I didn't,
Yeah,
excuse me, I didn't have any of that. I didn't have no sign at all.
yeah. So I would say the hypothesis of this really tough experience of having the baby, like wanting it for 5 years and then it happening, and the anxiety of losing it, could have also affected the
Right.
hormones
Well,
there.
right. It probably could. I'm like I said, I didn't even know what anxiety was or panic attacks or nothing until I went through this.
And at what point did you decide to work for this specific mission? So being a clinical worker in this field.
Oh, well, actually, when I was in the psychiatric hospital, I felt like, I was helping people. I was doing a lot there, talking to people, and it felt good. And then, I would say after my whole ordeal with postpartum, I felt like, gosh, what is it that I'm supposed to do? I know I'm called to do something. And I would say about 4 or 5 years after my ordeal, I just felt called. I mean, I felt like God was calling me to actually do something. And so I, prayed about it, and then I just felt the need to go into counseling. So I had a friend, that I was talking to, that I used to work with, and she was like, "Oh, I'm in school right now at Liberty for counseling," and I was like, "Huh." So I thought about it, and so I said, "Okay, I'm just gonna call the school." So I called the school, and they were like, because I'm a veteran, they would say, "Oh, well, you get a discount if you go." And then they said, well, you qualify for the post 9/11 GI Bill, and I didn't know what that was because I was in during 9/11, and um, so I called the VA benefits, and they said, "Oh yeah, you qualify." So I went back to school in my 40s with a toddler, and my whole master's degree was paid debt free. Debt free. They paid for everything. So I knew that, okay, this must be, you know,
Yeah.
calling. And so I ended up doing, actually it's so funny, ironic, I ended up doing my intern at a psychiatric hospital. And I was a patient there, and I actually ended up working there for like 8 years. So yes, so it was ironic, but it was helpful because I knew what it was like to be on the other side as a
Yeah.
patient, and
Yeah.
I relate to them a lot better, and they could relate to me because I was very open about that I used to be a patient, and they could, really relate. They were like, "Oh wow," so yeah. But then eventually I went into private practice. So I've always wanted to do Christian counseling, and so I did go into that. But I do, I see everybody, but definitely my a lot of my dreams have come true with this whole ordeal.
Yeah, yeah, that sounds really amazing that it happened like that. And yeah, there are many studies showing like people with lived experience. So you had your experience and then you shared it with your patients, or even if it's not a patient, people get really like they just feel better when they know someone else experienced it and they can see that there is hope and things will get better eventually. So nice. And now, as we go further, you just mentioned that because you just mentioned a sentence about your book. Can
Mhm.
you now share about like how did this happen? Like you wanting to have this book, and when did you start writing it?
Oh, okay. Well, actually, the book is called "Set Free to Live." I After I went through this, I felt like, okay, this is everybody I kept telling my story. They was like, "You need to write a book. You need to write a book." And so I said, "Okay, let me." I'm not a writer. I don't like to write at all. So yeah. So I felt like, God had placed it on my heart to write this book about 19 years ago, and the title, he gave me that title, and so I started writing a little bit back then, and then I would stop, and then I would pick it back up later on, and then I would stop again. And so there were times when, even after I experienced postpartum depression, I did later on in life experience depression and anxiety later on after I went through menopause and stuff. And so I kind of picked it up again, started writing, but I did not get serious until last year. Last year, probably around November time frame, that's when I was like, okay, I've got to write this book. I had a friend, a colleague, that she wrote her book and published, and she connected me with a lady that is helping me now, actually, with writing that book. But it was like, I knew I couldn't do this by myself. So I needed help, and so I was getting the help, and so I just, like, she had said, just write, and I was like, okay, just write. And so I didn't have to, be perfect or anything. So I would just write, and I just started from there, and I had kept on, and actually we're almost so close to it being published, probably within the next week or so. Yes. So yeah, but it took, a while. So it did take a while because I had a lot of obstacles that were in my way, health issues and everything else, a lot of things. So, but I got it. I got
Yeah,
it.
yeah, it's been a long journey, and it
Yeah.
was ups and downs, but then at the end you publish it, which is amazing.
Oh
And
yeah.
can you share a bit what is it about specifically? So what is your purpose with the book also?
Well, it is my journey through postpartum, but I do talk about the infertility. I talk about the miscarriages. It just goes from the time me and my husband met, and towards the end about how what I was just talking about, how I went through school debt free and everything. So yeah, so it does talk about that whole journey, but my purpose of writing it is because I just throughout the years I've always been compassionate about postpartum depression, and not just postpartum but depression and anxiety also, because I did suffer from that afterwards, a couple of times afterwards. So I am compassionate. That's one of my specialties as a counselor. But so I want to make awareness, especially with postpartum, because I know I've heard people say they feel like they have postpartum. They'll go to the doctor and they'll say, "Oh, it's not that. It's just this or that or something like that." And so they kind of brush it off. And so there are so many people that are not aware of what women go through, and a lot of women suffer alone. So I want that support, or wanted to get this book out so they could see what my journey was and how I overcame it, just by doing a lot of different things that helped me. But and also not just for them, but for people that don't know about postpartum, so they could read my book to say, "Wow, I didn't know that a woman would go through this." I'm hoping that they'll see, have more respect that for these women, and actually understand that this is something that is not going to go away, and it is really really real. It's real, and it happens to a lot of women, and some women, I hate to say, don't say anything because they're afraid of how they're going to be judged with it.
Yeah. And as you said, it's real and it can be really serious. So speaking up
Yeah.
about it is one of the basic thing that you need to do. And also being aware. I read a lot, and also I've met with so many women that had it, and being aware is the first step. That it's a big
Hmm.
obstacle also, because many women are not aware because of the societal issues and stigma around mother. The mother should be like the super mom that has to
Hmm.
have everything in hand. And it's unfortunate because all the things you said, I've heard it in so many different countries happening.
Right.
Sorry, my cat just jumped. I'm sorry. But yeah, and because you said like, I think when we spoke about it on before recording the episode, that you want men also to be really aware. So
Hmm.
you say it in the book.
Well, yes, I definitely want men to know, because a lot of men, they're the husband, or they may have a sister, or even a daughter that might go through postpartum. So I don't want them to be naive and be like, "Oh, she'll get through this," or this will be okay, because it's really serious. It can be very very serious, because like I said, I wanted to die. I literally wanted to die. I mean, even one time, I actually, and I write about this in the book, I left the house at like 2 o'clock in the morning and just went out running, hoping that I would get hit by a car. That's how our mind is. You're not in your right mind, and you can't think straight. And so it's not something that we can just snap out of. We just can't. And I want men to understand that their significant other, or their daughter, or their sister, or whoever, they can't just snap out of it, and they need not to be, they really really need that support. Just the presence and being there and comforting that person is really really what they need.
Yeah. Yeah, and I can, because when you live with someone, as you said, the significant other or the closest person next to you, if you know how you can help without reinforcing them, like making them feel worse, even because you
Hmm.
say something like it will get better. I know that you just need to get a bit stronger, or something like it will devalidate their feelings. So it's
Right.
really important to psychoeducate, let's say it in that way, people how to react in front of people that feel that have a mental illness overall, not only for postpartum depression, but for this specific time, it's so important for the family. So it's not only for the mom, it's for everyone for
Right.
the well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Good that they all understand. Yeah, it's really good that because they really need that support, because that was the one thing with postpartum. I never wanted to be alone with my baby or be alone myself. That was dangerous. So,
and as we go further, and because you said the book it will be out, where can people find it when it will be out?
well, I am right now is I'm taking pre-orders on Shopify. So, the website is my first name, but it's Theresa, Theresa Thomas, Thomas dot myshopify.com. That's where they can pre-order it now. Eventually it will be on Amazon. So once it's published, it will be on Amazon. So I'm hoping within the next few weeks. But I am on Instagram, Teresa underscore Thomas two
I
four.
will
Uh-huh.
I will put everything down so you don't like
Okay.
need to speak it out. But I was just wondering. I will put any information for the book and yourself
Oh, okay.
in the bio of the episode.
Great,
Um,
great. Yeah. So that those are the right now, like I said, it's pre you can do a pre-order on Shopify.
and as the time goes by, I wanted to ask two more questions. One is, so how did actually this experience, because it's a really huge experience for your whole life, and it changed your personal mission, like career-wise and everything.
Hmm.
How did it reflect it on your parenting? Because you have two daughters, right? And the one with the first one, you didn't have any of those experiences, and with the second one, you've had it. So did that change actually your parenting as well?
Well, yes, because I actually ended up being a lot older with my second child. Really didn't expect it, but I had her. I was 38. And so of course, you're a little more mature, but going through the experience of the postpartum and everything I experienced with the second child, it changed a lot of my parenting style. I mean, over time, it has changed quite a bit. Of course, my kids are grown now, but I learned to be a little more patient, not so try not to stress out as much, but I did, worry a lot. That came with it, because after experiencing something like that, you tend to think, okay, what else could go wrong? so, so I started, worrying, but I felt like I was more in tune as being a mother more, especially after the second one. I wouldn't take, the time that I spent with them for granted at all, and not like I did, because when I had my first one I was like maybe 20. I think I was 25, 26, so I was a lot younger. So now with the second one, 38, and of course, trying to be more attentive with my oldest, because she was going through her teenage years, so that was kind of hectic too. So I had a teenager and a toddler, so it was kind of rough, and I went back to grad school, so yeah, you can imagine it was rough, but I felt like I got stronger. I grew more as a mother, as a person, and I just became a lot more caring, a lot more patient with them, and I'm still growing. So
Yeah, it sounds like you definitely should have gotten stronger because it sounds a really like a stressful period of
Oh,
juggling so many things at once. But it I love when women speak about that. I'm a yeah that it shows our strength that we do a lot of
mhm.
things. And we can pursue our own visions, like you starting grad school really older when it comes to like societal norms, like it can
Right,
be really anxiously inducing doing something like that.
right. Hmm.
And as my last question, I wanted to ask, what would you say to a new mom or just a mom that is experiencing those symptoms and she feels really down at the moment? What would be your advice to her?
Well, I know nowadays like when I went through it, we didn't have a lot of the social media or anything like that. So there's a really good way to connect now. There's more resources out there. I'm a part of a lot of postpartum Facebook pages. They have postpartum chats. A lot of women are actually putting their symptoms out there and they're getting advice. I actually connected with one woman that on one of those sites and reached out to her, and now we I talked to her on the phone for hours, which I'm hoping that was helpful. But those things is what those are the things that women do need. They just need to talk to somebody who has been through this, who actually experienced it, because a lot of times you feel like you're the only one that's going through this, and that if you tell somebody, people are going to think you're crazy. And so if they have someone who's like not going to judge them and they can actually feel comfortable reaching out to, then that is so helpful. And just trying to keep the stress level down, not to overwork, or trying to do everything by themselves. If they have family or other people around them or other support, don't be afraid to ask for that help, because that's what happens when they get overwhelmed and stressed out. That's when the anxiety sets in, or the depression, it gets worse. And also see a counselor and go to counseling. Yeah, that they're there for you. They can help you, and you can talk things through, and they will understand. There's no judgmental or anything there, so it's they meet you where you're at. So counseling, I support 100%, not just because I'm a counselor, but I do support it 100%.
And because you also experienced it as a patient, so you have your experience.
Right.
Thank you so much, Teresa. That was really, really insightful. It was really interesting, and I think it can be really helpful to many people. I will put all the information about the book so our audience can find it. And yeah, thank you so much for this conversation.
Oh, I appreciate it so much. And thank you so much for doing this for me.